Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome back to the T114. There are few vehicles in the game that are always fun for me, but the T114, the brave little toaster, is absolutely that, and it pretty much always has been. I'm still surprised by how much this little tank destroyer flies under the radar, because it combines three things that are absolutely the meta in War Thunder. First off, very good mobility. It's not quite top tier, but it's close enough to not really matter. You can still do just about everything that an RU-251 can do, and maybe you show up a second or two later to the same area. On top of that, fantastic firepower, as you see demonstrated here, along with scouting, just because. And what was the third thing? Oh right, it's extremely low profile, to the effect that you can hide just about anywhere, and that is a feature that's only really available on a handful of vehicles in the game, and most of them have some huge drawback that balances that out. And if anything, it's the T114's survivability, but you saw us soaking up those rounds from the Dushka on top of that IS-2, or the Wish.com IS-2. So it's not bad. Not a bad TD at all. But I didn't just come here to show you my TDs. I have some replays and some gameplay of a game that I've been playing a bit on the side and I really enjoy. It's called Brigador, so I'll show you a bit of that in a moment. But first, take a look at my fat dragon. This is the F80A? No, P80A? Which one is it? The 7.0 version with a little bit less thrust Kachiga compared to the foldered follow-up to this aircraft, which is itself quite a good jet. It's sort of overshadowed by the oh geez, what are they called? The Speedy Boys, you know what I'm talking about, that comes after that. But the F80C has M350 cals, possibly the best gun in the game, all things considered, as well as some really good overall performance that makes it fantastic in something like RB, Tank RB, mixed battles, you see. But this, the F80A, a lot of fun, good aircraft, and the Fat Dragon user camouflage. Sorry, no, this is a it's one of those loot crate camouflages. Are those called user skins? Anyway, everybody can see my Fat Dragon. If they have, I think this is a non-historical camouflage, but I saw this thing available, so I had to spend $1 on the marketplace to pick it up. So hopefully I'll have some more fun with that later. But this is a game that I really think has been overlooked more than is really fair. It feels like a sort of a like 80s nostalgia mech combat version of Miami or Hotline Miami. So it's fantastic. You can see us stomping some cars and peoples just because we can, to revel in the destruction. You can pilot a mech, a tank, or a hover car in this game, and they all feel a certain way. And I like the way that this game handles the mech movement and aiming. You really get that feel of the tank controls, and there are a couple of different control schemes available, but I like it tank style, if you will. And right now we're rocking a vehicle that is a pretty standard walker, and it has two heavy cannon I guess autocannon Gatling guns in the arms, so it's a blast or a burst to play. And this neighborhood seems to have steel reinforced hedges. It's like they knew. It's like they knew this kind of stuff was gonna go down. So what happens in this game? A lot of destruction and a lot of top-down tank style fun. Those are two things that get my attention right away. This is another one of those light games to play where you can buy it once and just enjoy. You can chill, you can play this while you're rendering some video. It's not going to destroy your graphics card. And it's actually a finished game, which is something of a delight to play when you're getting a bit tired of how janky War Thunder can be. The servers have been really bad for me lately, so I haven't been playing nearly as many matches as I'd like to. I'm just not enjoying them, so I'm taking a little bit of a break before World War Mode Season 3 starts up, about which I'm pretty excited. This one has some new features that will make it a different experience, for better or for worse, as we shoot through the armored hedges to get at these power grid relay boxes. So if we stomp or shoot both of those boxes, yep, power goes down in the neighborhood. That means that things like sirens and streetlights are going to be inoperative, and sirens actually matter in this game because the enemy can sound the alarm and get reinforcements coming their way more rapidly. There's a great mix of action and tactics in this game. You can take a stealthy approach. You can see we have our special ability, smoke grenades there, that block line of sight to enemies, and yet if you fire a bunch of rounds through the smoke, it'll disperse some of the clouds, revealing your position, and getting side or rear shots on enemies gives you much increased effectiveness to your guns. So there's a lot going on with this game, and it's all very nicely packaged. I love the aesthetic. The music is fantastic. That's what you're hearing in the background, and I've just been having a lot of fun with it. I don't spend nearly as much time lately gaming because I have a newborn baby boy along with my two girls. In fact, yesterday when I was starting to edit this video, I had to take a break and go do a little bit of babysitting over at my brother's house, and oh my gosh, his kids they're just really cool kids. I love his kids. And the little one, he's got an older girl, a little toddler girl who's just about Guppy's age. I think she's a little bit... Is she a little bit younger or a little bit older? She speaks so well, I can't remember. They're about the same age. And she said, "Uncle Casey, you're my favorite." So I was like, yeah, okay. I'll probably have to go babysit again soon. But I got super tired because they have a cat in their house, and I got like the worst allergies that I've had maybe in my life, because I already had a bunch of like pollen and junk in my lungs from doing some lawnscaping. But then I went and got a bunch of cat dander on me, and it was bad. It was real bad. So maybe I'll have his kids over to our house next time. I think they'd really appreciate that. And speaking of the newborn, sounds like he's done with this bottle, so I've got some more baby tending to do. And you can see that we've already killed the VIPs that we were supposed to eliminate for this mission, this contract. We're not a regular army force here. We're work for hire, and now we're just expending our excess ammunition into the neighborhood for the bonus pay. Not really an efficient way to make money, but you do get paid for every ounce of destruction you mete out on the area, because that's how beneficent our employers are. Probably Halliburton that we're working for. Anyway, this game is a lot of fun. Great vibes, just very solid art direction, fantastic soundtrack, as you can tell. This is a very, very early mission, which is why the challenge rating was so low, but I hear things get rather challenging, so there is a lot to this game, and it all fits together very nicely. It's a really well polished game, very nicely executed, and it's right up my alley. And yet, it's not a super popular game, but it looks like they're working on a sequel, so I'll be looking forward to that. And I think it's on a pretty good sale right now over on goodoldgames.com. So if you like what you see, then go ahead and check it out. Of course, I'm not sponsored or anything, it's just a game that I'm enjoying. And I paid my good hard-earned lawn mowing money for it. So I do have, I hope I mentioned that I have replays coming. So I just wanted to share this with you all because I've really been enjoying it. And every now and then, especially when you're looking at these $65, $70 bundles on War Thunder, it's good to be reminded that you can have a blast for under 20 bucks. Yeah, you can. You can buy the whole game all at once with no DLC. Anyway, that was this, and now we're gonna get into some replays. So who do we have here other than our good old Visky253 in a night battle, hence the sepia tone. The sepia filter is what I've been using in the past to help make night battles more visible. It turns the crushed blacks into crushed browns, and I think it just makes things a little bit easier to spot. For me, I actually recorded this replay after the update, the little patch that caused night battles to always be a clear sky with the moon visible. So there's a lot higher global lighting in this replay than there probably was in the actual match, because top tier night battles or high tier night battles would often be, here I'm showing you how I got to this post FX setting just so you guys know. That's what it looks like normally, and then here we go back to sepia tone. I think it just makes things a little more visible. Reminds me of the early Medal of Honor days, and who doesn't love a little bit of nostalgia? But you can tell that the battle was actually a lot darker from Visky's perspective, because again, this was before, this battle actually took place before the update that increased the visibility for night battles significantly. And so that's why Visky is doing things like spotting people with his 20mm. Unless he just really likes to panic people right before he shoots them. That's also a distinct possibility. Himself remaining cool and collected, cutting his way across and back and through the alleys of this Eastern European town. Eastern Europe? Something like that. And yes, it's the right direction. Sorry, I get a little bit confused. I'm kind of retarded today. I have not been sleeping well. I haven't been breathing well. I've just had the worst allergies lately, and it's made me muy cansado. Lo siento. But Visky already with 4 kills and pulling off dank flanks left and right in, what is this, the Leo 2K? Something like that. Very classy Leopard variant. I've always loved the look of this vehicle, and the autocannon 20mm mounted on the roof and firing at the speed of plaid is always appreciated. Maybe he's shredding off some of the ERA from his foes as well with those 20 mils. It looks like he might have gotten a track with that as well. It's just a really cool turret, and that's one of the things that makes this year's reward for World War Mode look so enticing. I really don't look forward to trying hard in World War Mode. I'm going to try and take it easy and not sweat too much, because I think there's going to be... I suspect there might be a little bit more potential for frustration with this year's, just because it takes place with high-tier vehicles that a lot of people are not going to have access to. So, we'll see how that works out. But the... what is it, a 25mm autocannon mounted on the commander's cupola? Yes, please. I hope that can elevate quite high in order to target things like jets and helicopters. That should be a lot of fun. Hey, buddy. I got a tiny man in the little rocker chair here. Mommy took Brooklyn across the street to go eat some s'mores with the neighbors, so I'm here with the newborn getting some daddy time with the little parasite. There's really not much that newborns can do other than eat and excrete and complain when they're not doing one of those. Oh, and they take naps too. So he's doing his job pretty well. Let me see if I can get that bottle into his mouth. Yeah, that's on. There we go. There we go. I think maybe he got it. Maybe. I don't know. I might have to pause the video. But Visky already up to 6 kills playing Poke the Commie in the dark, and just overall doing very well for a guy who hasn't unlocked thermals yet. That's right, the stock grind is real, something that XM1 player is probably aware of, factoring that into the incredible value of his free Abrams. The XM1 is such a good tank, but not enough to take on a Leo 2K from the front if Visky is aware that he's there. The enemy Abrams player probably a bit too aggressive there. Could have stood to do something like, oh, never mind. They can't pop smoke. That's something that's definitely missing on the XM1, is any form of smoke that doesn't come out of the main gun. But that's fine. I'm not bitter. It's definitely the best premium tank in the game in overall performance, so who could ask for more? Visky, looking for more, looking and listening, straining his eyes and his ears. I hope you all have already watched my I Can Hear Now video. I found a solution to War Thunder's dynamic range issue. Some sounds are just way too quiet to be heard distinctly, and I was very excited to actually find a solution for that. So that'll also improve the quality of my videos a slight bit, and definitely take a lot of the pressure off of me when I'm trying to engage maximum awareness mode. I'm really bad with situational awareness with my eyes. I can only focus on like one thing at a time, and my focus tends to lock up really bad. I have to make a conscious effort to keep my eyes moving in matches, and that kind of stresses me out. Another target? What is that, locust? It's something small. It is indeed. You can tell from the 37mm cannon poking the commander in the eye that that is indeed the American Locust up at top tier. Looking for memes and finding machine Menengeshaws instead. But what was I saying? Oh right, so it's really hard for me to focus my eyes on the right parts of the game at the right time, checking the minimap, checking around me, that kind of stuff, and also differentiating targets from oddly shaped rocks. Gaijin, why do you do this? Why do you make rocks that look like tanks? But it's just my paranoia speaking. But I'm a lot better at using my ears to be aware of what's going on. Gunfire, cannons, airplane sounds, engine sounds, the sounds of teammates, and the unidentified foes that are around me. Visky on fire, and apparently without a fire extinguisher in what appears to be a mostly, if not entirely stock Leo 2K, runs for the water and doesn't make it. Now, in the G91, sorry, different aircraft, same lethal Italian bias, bringing the pasta cooker of death to low altitude and zooming for a good look at the battlefield. I would have loved to see this from Visky's perspective while he was playing. Again, it would have been a lot darker, those fires would be popping, and it must have been a serious challenge to identify, well, that might have been a shed or a dead tank or something. But 10 kills already. It's hard to fault Visky at this point. He's been doing fantastically, and spotting targets from a jet in a dark battle cannot be easy. Cannons get some hits onto something, making some beautiful sparkles, and frankly, I'm just starting to run out of things to say. I'm busy rocking my newborn. What, you're less than 2 weeks old. So he's him just a little feller, as they say. Him's just a little feller. Still at 10 kills, but with a nice hit into some sort of USSR frying pan mobile, the way you do. All those Soviet MBTs look the same to me from the T-54 onward. Even the T-44 starts looking pretty monotonous. And another hit, the ERA not enough to deal with a 250 pound rocket bomb. And of course the G91, famous for its Nord ASMR missiles, and yet the bullpups available on the FJ4B VMF event vehicle and the A4 are just as deadly, and in the case of the FG, available in slightly greater numbers. So I've seen a lot of complaining about this aircraft and its great efficiency, and it is very deadly with rockets or guided missiles. And yet, it's probably not the most potentially powerful close air support aircraft. Just happens to be very, very maneuverable, which helps it to be especially deadly. Getting a shot on a Shilka, or sorry, what's it called? With the 4 ZSU-4. Okay, yeah, it is the Shilka, right? Tunguska is the big Tungus, and Shilka is the typewriter of death, writing angry messages across the sky when its breaches aren't out, causing red damage to the radar, which unless I'm mistaken, still has no effect on the machine. It would be nice if you destroyed the radar module, then it would cease to function, or if it took some damage, it would have some issues. That would be pretty cool, but you know, whatever, it's fine. I'm a lot less afraid of SPAA at high tier than I used to be. I used to think that they were just instant win machines when it came to facing down aircraft, and that was before I was aware of how effective these air-to-ground missiles could be, and Fisky just dealing serious damage with his cannons is, how do I put this? He's making up for his tactical disadvantage against SPAA with sheer aggressiveness, the way you would expect out of Fisky. Up to 12 kills and just flying beautifully through the sky. Fisky tends to use very aggressive vertical maneuvers against enemy vehicles when he's doing close air support. He banks a little bit less energy than I tend to do, which means that he has less time on target, but he makes that time count, as you can see. And now I'm rocking the newborn, hoping that he falls asleep. He's been sort of tonguing this bottle for a while, so I'm hoping he's just tired enough to drift off. And we drift into a match with Enemy Spy? I'm not quite sure, but he has some awesome flame-inspired decals and a fiery tiger on his Italian Centauro. So this ridiculously mobile, I think this one is the 120 gun platform, it's so very fast that you just don't even expect it to be where it is, and that's something these two Abrams have run into on the shittiest map War Thunder has to offer, probably tied for worst with Mozdok. Mozdok is the tiny snow map, right? Not a big fan, and this is just a horrid map for top tier. Single cap, and it's very exposed. There's a bunch of cover and ridge lines everywhere, but every spot is sort of halfway open to flanking, and the map is tiny. There are few proper lanes of advance, and you've got some massive long sight lines, and just it's bad news bears, okay? This is a great example of how much better that's a very awkwardly worded sentence. How would I put this? I've been considering something lately, and it's the question, what if maps in War Thunder had their objectives in somewhat of a close area to each other, so that, you know, low tier vehicles could move to the objective and play the match and not have to worry about crossing massive areas, because that does seem to be an issue with a lot of players. Just the amount of time spent moving to the objective is objectionable for those larger maps. So what if spawns and objectives are in a reasonably close area, and there's just a lot of room around the edges of the map for maneuvering for those highly mobile vehicles? Now, we know that there's lots of room on these maps, and yet the ground forces engagement area is constrained, and I say, what if it was far less constrained? I think we have a couple of examples of maps that are like that, with the objectives clustered together, but the spawns tend to be fairly far from those objectives, and at that point it just seems like a time sink to do things that way. Even worse if the map itself is flat and you can see one spawn from the other or from shortly outside of it. But to have a map like this, with a great amount of terrain, but just severely constrained options when it comes to advancing, just because of where they put the map border, I think a simple fix would be to increase that area. And then make sure that there's no hellholes to nowhere where there's no collision mapping for the terrain, if you please. Another issue with maps is that some of the older ones, but some of the newer maps as well, have these sort of death traps for tanks, where there'll be some steep incline and then just a pile of rocks that will trap you. And there is literally no reason for those rocks other than to try and discourage people, I suppose, from driving down that incline. But maybe that's a diversion for another time. I've kind of lost track of what NMSP's been doing. Let me explain really quickly what we've seen. He's been driving around and shooting people. I mean, this looks like the stabilized version of the Centauro, and he's just been enjoying catching people not expecting surprise 120mm penetrations and blapping them for being distracted. Yet another reason to turn up your volume and check out my I Can Hear video to get those sounds into your ears where you can properly sort them out for informational purposes. 6 kills already and a quick cap to secure. Or no, that wasn't. He went back to the cap to go repair. He might not have parts for this. I'm not sure. Wait. Is this? Yeah, it is the Centauro, right? It's nothing. What's the other one? The Ruicat? That's a pretty neat little vehicle as well. I do get these things confused all the time, so apologies if I've confused it. Taking a round again and surviving, because this is probably before the updated hull brake mechanics were applied to this vehicle. Now, that's one of the things that I've noticed fairly often. In fact, I think it's every single time with a new vehicle that Gaijin adds to the game. When they want it to do well and it has no armor, they forget to give it the most aggressive hull brake mechanics, and then after people have spent enough money getting to it, then they give it the old Nerf hammer. You want a baba? Okay, baby, well, you gotta wait, okay, just a few minutes. My daughter got back from the neighbors, and she wants to be the baby for a little while. When she turned like 2, she was like, you know what, I don't need to eat food anymore, and 90% of everything that everybody else is eating is disgusting to her. But warm milk in a baby bottle, oh, that is her favorite guilty pleasure. Like, we've pretty much weaned her off of a bottle, but she still gets one every now and then, just to it makes her day. She's so happy, and it really helps her to relax. And she was just at the neighbors for a few hours having an absolute blast, and I can tell she really enjoyed herself because she's miserable now. And she's going for all those things that normally make her feel more comfortable when she gets home. Anyway, a nice match by NMSP on one of the crummiest maps in the game, making it look good, and taking down an enemy SPAA for his 7th kill in what is about to be a victory for his team. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it was a bit of a longer video, and I had a lot of things that I wanted to ramble off into your ears, but I hope you also enjoyed that soundtrack. That was the Brigador OST in the background, and I hope you enjoyed the gameplay as well. Catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.